Hello, everyone. We are live. Welcome to The Show Must Go On Line. Today's guest is Jamie Maletz. How are you doing today?
Good. How are you?
Great. It's so nice to see you and to have you on and to actually have a chance to chat more.
Yeah, I know. We've our paths have crossed and we've chatted some, but we've never really had a long hangout.
Yeah, exactly. I feel okay, correct me if I'm wrong, but the first time we met was at the Avenue Q closing after party. Is that right?
Yeah, that's when we met.
What an experience. It's always so funny when you go somewhere by yourself to do some work or, whatever it might be. And then you find someone else and you're like, oh, you're cool. Let's start chatting.
Yeah, no, it was midnight or something. And I was about to leave. I was I think I have soaked up a lot of awesomeness at this party. Maybe I'll go. Maybe I'll see if I should meet one more person. And then I was sitting on the couch and I started chatting with you and I was oh, I'm really glad I didn't leave. She's awesome.
Yes, that's how I felt as well. It's always funny covering events when, I'm there with all my equipment and I'm by myself. And then, you go and you do the interviews. And after the interviews, if it's a chill vibe, you're oh, let's see if there's anyone I can hang out with. And I feel we bonded over a love of Shirley Temple's.
Yes, I remember because no, seriously, normally I don't love when people hear my lack of drink orders because it's not I never drink, but I rarely drink. And then you were oh, Shirley Temple's, that's awesome. And I was yes. I remember you lugging all your equipment to the subway after the party. And I was oh my God, do you do this every time? That's a lot of stuff.
Yeah, that is definitely one of the rare advantages to what's going on now. I mean, I wish we could be back in the normal in-person live settings, but not having to carry my equipment on the subway back and forth, that is a main advantage and something that I'm so excited for when theater eventually comes back, but I am not excited to carry my luggage through the subway at 1 or 2 a.m.
Yeah, that's a lot for sure.
It is crazy. Well, that was so much fun. And I am glad that we kind of got how we know each other, in the forefront. But I want to hear your origin story. How'd you get into this love of musical theater?
Oh my gosh. It's ingrained from when I was a baby. I think there's footage of me that exists as a 2-year-old that can barely walk, twirling around my living room to Starlight Express. So my mom loves theater, and so she's a voice teacher, and I've been doing theater as a performer / theater kid my whole life, and I have been writing music / stories for as long as I can remember. It's just kind of always been a thing for me. And before I allowed myself to chase the dream, I taught theater as a high school teacher. Wow. So it's always been a thing for me.
Wow. What an interesting journey, kind of going to help others and then being okay, now's the time for me. Now is the time to seize the day. Bum, bum, bum.
Yeah. I went through this whole thing in my late 20s where I decided to stop almost doing what I wanted and decided to do exactly what I wanted. I was in a bad marriage and I got divorced and I decided to stop teaching theater and go chase the dream in New York. And I came out of the closet as a lesbian and I was I am doing exactly me from now on.
Yay!
So,
sometimes I feel it takes a big life change to finally seize who you were always meant to be. And I'm happy that you found who that is.
Yeah. A little bit late, but not too late.
Yeah. Everyone has their life journeys, and it also goes to show, I feel you always hear people say, oh, it's never too late to get into musical theater, or it's never too late to chase your dreams. And your story, you certainly weren't, old, you're still, very spry and young and, able to because like even with this, like I was chasing the dream of being an on-air sports reporter, and then I realized like that actually wasn't my dream. Like I thought it was, and then I realized how like passionate I was for Broadway, and I'm like, now we're gonna change it up and go this way, and like I'm so glad I did. But it took like different trials of different experiences to finally be like, oh, this is where I'm meant to be.
Yeah, no, life has a way of making you like re-examine your dreams and like why it is you want what you want. You know, like 2020 especially. You know, you know, Broadway has been something I've wanted to be a part of for, you know, my whole life. And now it's shut down, and I'm like, okay, so what was it about Broadway that I, you know, really wanted to be a part of? And I'm like still trying to figure that out, you know, because there's like two parts of what I wanted to be a part of. There was like the Broadway community and the people, and I'm still staying in touch with people and trying to reach out to people and make things virtually, so that, you know, we can stay connected and that like we can, you know, still keep creating. And then there's, as a writer, obviously it would be amazing to someday have a show of mine on Broadway. But I think the amazing thing about having a show of yours on Broadway is really just so that more people can know about it. Like that's the real thing, is like, I would just really love more people to know about it so that like all the high school kids could sing songs of mine for auditions, or like community theaters would want to do productions of it. Like that's the thing that I really want. So that's like I've been thinking about, is like what I really want is for like my shows to be more accessible and known to people so that they could know them and want to do them.
Are we back?
Oh, did I freeze?
You know, my computer, the connection out here sometimes. All right, I think we're good. Cool.
Oh,
kind of. It
could have been.
Well, we are back now. But yeah, like connecting with the high school kids and having something that has that wide reach, that's totally, I feel that, right? Like it's not necessarily, I mean, it could be part of like the fame and the recognition, but also the widespread and getting more people to like be able to enjoy your work and to actually perform it themselves. So that's really neat. And we will talk all about what you've been working on and what, you know, especially during quarantine. And I want to give a quick shout out here to my friend Andy. I see joining us. Hello, yes, fellow theater teacher, especially during quarantine. And I want to give a quick shout out here to my friend Andy. I see joining us. Hello, yes, fellow. Do you have it up on especially during quarantine? And I want to give a quick shout out here to my friend Andy. I see joining us. Hello, yes, fellow. Do you have it up on especially during quarantine? I want to give a quick shout out here to my friend Andy. I see joining us. Hello, yes, fellow. Do you have it up on especially during quarantine? I want to give a quick shout out here to my friend Andy. I see joining us. Hello, yes. Cool. Hello. I think we're good. That happens sometimes. I always forget to tell people to, if you're watching it on YouTube and seeing like the comments, to make sure to mute it, because then there's like the feedback. Cool. You know what? Good life experience. I like a journey.
Cool. Technical difficulties out of the way.
Yeah, right? Like they were gonna happen, so I'm glad that we had them early.
Yeah, absolutely.
So why don't you start telling us a little bit about the work you've been doing now? I saw on your website, did you say you have 12 full-length musicals written?
12 that I count. There are some in a show graveyard, that I will not count. But yeah. Wow. That's super impressive. But I have to give a caveat. I don't know how to say that word. So I last May graduated from the Graduate Musical Theater Writing Program at NYU. Mm-hmm. And part of that like process of that school is like, you know, you learn a lot and you like grow a lot as a writer. And that's the positive way of saying that it makes you realize that everything you wrote before the program is shit. So like, I would say that of those 12, like probably like 8 or 9, I want to go back and do extensive edits on, because I feel like they need help. Yeah. before I want to like count them as like they're still good. Yeah. But I did go through. They've been through lots of rounds of edits and like polishing and blah blah blah. But then you go to the program and you're like, oh, everything I've ever done is crap. You know how it is.
I do. I was just, something popped up as like, this video you did like 7 years ago. And it was a reporter reel I did in college, my senior year. And I remember working so hard on it and thinking it was so good, right? And I watched and I'm like, what is this? Like, whoever thought that this is how you should report and speak and the cadence? And it's just like, but that's part of the journey. But it's just so funny to like look back at some of those earlier pieces and be like, ooh, that we have evolved.
Yeah, it's the what was I thinking thing. Like, it's the double-edged sword of working in theater, because sometimes working in theater, I'm like, you know what I hate about working in theater? It's that you're never done. And it's always like, oh, rewrites, time for rewrites. I want to die. Yeah. And sometimes I'm like, you know what I should do? I should work in film, because when you work in film, you're done and you film it and it's done. But then it's like, okay, but what if you go back and you watch that like years later and you're like, I wish I could have changed this and this and this. And I can't, because it's done. So, it's probably a grass is greener thing.
Totally. Yeah, there's definitely the advantages and disadvantages to both. And it's like whatever you're working on, you're going to think like, oh, I wonder if I were working on it in a different medium or in a different realm, then it would feel like that. Which, speaking of different realms, I see that you are also like a nerd in the world of like all things. How did you phrase it in your bio? It was like a monster and mythology lover, big fan.
Yeah. Most but not all of the things that I've written have either like monsters or mythology or like some element of weird in them. And I have been told that a lot of those things don't work on stage, and I am actively in defiance of that. And there have been lots of very successful shows that have like proven that wrong. So I'm just kind of like respectfully, no. But yeah, I love all that stuff. I have Bigfoot on my keychain. I have most of my t-shirts have like some sort of like silly like I have like the Abominable Snowman on one of my t-shirts and all kinds of things like that. It's just all over my life.
Yes.
I have a 2.5-year-old nephew. I am teaching him how to say the names of different monsters. He's really good at some of them and he's really bad at some of them, but we're working on it. Him saying Cthulhu is one of my favorite things on the planet. Because he's like he tries, but it's like a lot of like syllables like close to the mouth,
Amazing. I like little kids saying adorable things. That's high up there. And like dogs and cats just being cute and like big fan of all of that.
Oh yeah, for sure.
But yeah, I totally agree. And I think that like, especially because you're so passionate about it, like people say, oh, this doesn't work until you do it. And then you're like, whoa, that's such a good idea. And so if you're passionate about something that especially hasn't been touched upon as much, I think that's almost like better than being like, oh, I love blah, blah, blah. And that's something that like everyone always does. And then you're like, oh, okay, cool. But when you have like that niche and then you make friends with other people in the niche, like were you one of the producers of the Monster songs at 54 Below?
Yeah. I was a associate producer for that.
That's awesome. Yeah, I was rewatching that because that was so cool that we were connecting about like me filming that, and I love Rob Rokicki and like that whole squad, and like what a fun concert. And like I don't know if you've rewatched it since, but there's that one part where like either a plate fell or something happened at the perfect moment that Jason Sweet Tooth Williams was like, there's a ghost.
I love Jason so much.
Same.
He was just in something else that I'm working on. and he's in something else I'm working on coming up. He's like the sweetest person. I adore him.
Big fan.
Yeah, and also I love monster songs. I've loved monster songs for like a long time. So it's like, yes, I need to see more productions of monster songs happening, and like I need to see a production of monster songs happen in a haunted house where like each room that you go into has one of the monsters in it. Like there are so many cool things you can do with that show, and if anyone is watching this who hasn't seen Monster Songs, like go listen to Monster Songs. Rob is a genius, and you need to like watch it and love monsters more and just rock out, and it's amazing.
Cosign, repeat.
Yes. Like any version you watch of it is so good. Like the performers on the recording are good. The performers from our concert are amazing. Like just go watch it.
Yeah, maybe I'll retweet the video I took from the 54 Below concert after this interview. So if anyone hasn't seen it, just like dive right in. It's like,
yeah,
it's so funny and clever and well written and well produced and like everything was so well done. And like that's one of my favorite things of what I get to do is just like to be a fly on the wall and like record it and then actually get to just enjoy it. Oh, yeah. So cool.
And my face falls off every time Katrina sings the ending of Say Goodbye. Like,
are you kidding?
Like that woman's voice is so incredible. I can't.
I know. And then to have one of the Elphaba sing a witch song.
Yeah.
That like there, it's like the weaving in and out of like just like musical love and like the little the whole thing. It's just like, and I love the idea of that being performed at a haunted house. And now I want that immersive theater to happen so badly.
Yeah, so badly. And you know what? You could probably do that in a socially distanced way. I am just saying, like producers of the world, there are possibilities. Like I know that like there is so much bad stuff going on, but like we are allowed to be upset. We are allowed to feel bad, but we also like now is also the time for us to like get sneaky and dream and think about like how we can like make new stuff happen in new and interesting ways, and like instead of getting toppled by the wave, like jump on it and like figure stuff out.
Such a good point. And that I feel like in so many ways, right? Like more female writers, more Black actors, more like, you know, people of diversity behind the scenes. Like there are so many things that if we're going to live in this world where COVID is taking over and making everything pause, we need to come back better. We can't go back the way it is. We have to improve and find the ways that like our society has failed so many people and give new opportunities.
Yeah, we're talking about that a lot at the nonprofit that I work at. So like, how can we come back the right way and make sure that, you know, we don't want to come back the same. You know, we want to make sure that when we come back, that the people who have been passed over in the past aren't getting left behind.
Yeah.
It's really important that we make sure that, you know, we're not coming back in a way that, you know, women and Black people and people of color aren't just getting, you know, passed over again and not given opportunities again.
Yeah.
You know, we don't want to just go back to the same old systems.
Do you want to tell us more about your nonprofit?
I would love to. Yeah, I'm super, super passionate about it. So I'm the administrative assistant at Maestra Music, and it's a nonprofit that is, I'm just going to read you its mission statement because it is like, it's very well worded and better than anything I could articulate. So Maestra provides support, visibility, and community for the women who make the music in the musical theater industry. The membership is made up of female identifying, non-binary, and gender non-conforming composers, music directors, orchestrators, arrangers, copyists, rehearsal pianists, and other musicians who are an underrepresented minority in musical theater. So it's basically like if you music in any way and you are female identifying or non-binary, like be a part of Maestra. And it's this amazing organization. I'm super, super, super passionate about it. And so we do like classes, and we have an online community, and we have a directory where people can find each other and find us to work with, people who are maestras. it's really amazing.
Wow. Yes, that is awesome. That is great work. I love hearing all of the, it's important to stick together and stand up for people, like you're saying, that don't always get those opportunities, and to make you feel so included that this is like specifically a group meant for you, meant that like if you felt othered before, this is specifically gonna like welcome you and hug you. And that's, oh man, I love everything about that.
It's so great. And like one of the things I really love about it, and specifically about Georgia Stitt, who started the organization, is so when everything shut down back in March, and a lot of people kind of froze, and a lot of people kind of complained or felt bad or were like, well, I guess now we have to wait. She just kind of like leapt into action, and she started an entire spring and summer of free online classes in like all different types of topics related to music and theater, led by like female and non-binary and trans experts in the industry, so that people could like educate themselves and spend their summer like just an hour over lunchtime at various times. And like learn and like take this time to do something. And I was like, that's so cool. Like a lot of people are just like, oh, this sucks. And Georgia was like, let's do something good and let's make it free so that everyone can do it.
Right. And that is so powerful, because money right now is so tough for everyone. And especially if you're in a situation where you're trying to produce art and create something, that's so powerful to have this like free opportunity to like hone your skills and get to keep working on it. And so many people right now are not realizing the importance of the arts, and yet what do you turn to, especially in a pandemic? You're watching movies and plays and listening to music and podcasts and reading and writing and artwork. It's just like the arts are so important.
Yeah. I mean, what would people do if they didn't have like Netflix and Hulu right now? What would people do if they couldn't like listen to music right now? Like, I think people take for granted things that they haven't done themselves, or that they're not thinking about what went into making it.
Right. Yeah, it's so weird to think, like, I hate saying like as a society, but it is true that like there just isn't that global, or like the maybe more in this country, appreciation for how hard it is to be an artist as like your main profession. And you just see the people at the top and you just think like, oh well, they're the best of the best and they just got there. And it's like, well, actually there are like so many people who are very deserving and maybe just haven't like been given their shot, or whatever reason it may be. And especially like now that I'm a theater reporter, I'm seeing it so much more than I even understood beforehand. But like just the writing process of songs, let alone an entire new musical or a play or like anything in that whole realm, it is crazy to think of like how hard it is. And yeah, I hope that like part of this series is just to like show appreciation for artists and like the different type of artists who are like either on stage or behind the stage or on screen behind the scenes, like the makeup artist, the set designer, like how many different parts of this like universe it takes to make the thing magical and come alive.
Yeah. Did you see that interactive map? I wish I could remember what company was working on it, where it's like this interactive map where you can like, it's like all the people who are involved in like a Broadway show, and you can like click on any of the dots on the map and see a video of like someone in that type of job talking. So like if you click on like the general manager dot, you can see like a Broadway general manager like talking. And if you click on like a composer dot, you can see like a famous Broadway composer talking. It's really cool. I'll have to send it to you, but
please. Yeah. Andy's saying, man, if I didn't have Netflix, I'd be bored. I do miss people and places. Yeah, like I've been watching The Umbrella Academy, which have you watched that?
I have not. I feel like it might be like my kind of show,
Yeah.
but I haven't seen it.
Highly recommend. There are a lot of like theater people like Emmy Raver Lampman, who was in Hamilton and Wicked, and she's one of the stars, which is awesome. And actually, like, she's the reason I started watching it, was because I love her. And I was like, oh, okay. And then I found out it was like a comic book series turn, and I was like, ooh. And the second season is so good right now. So highly recommend. I feel like that and Schitt's Creek have been
Yes, Schitt's Creek is so good. I just finished watching the fifth season, the second to last season.
Yes, same. I still have that last season to go, and wow, it's emotional. I love it so much. I just ordered some Rose Apothecary swag.
I love it. Schitt's Creek is so good. I'm so glad I didn't know about it before, and that it was something I could like learn about and watch during the pandemic.
Yes. Yeah. So what other pieces have you been like kind of watching a bunch of or listening to a lot right now?
Like, as in like shows or like theater?
Your player's choice.
Okay. Well, I actually just watched in a very short period of time all of Warrior Nun, and so the promo on Netflix looks really dumb, but it's actually really good. Like, highly recommend.
Okay.
It's very good. It's like if you like Buffy the Vampire Slayer, it's like that, but with nuns. And like more progressive, because Buffy was like the late 90s and early 2000s, and this is now. And it's set in Spain with nuns who fight demons, and
I mean, that sounds pretty great.
Yeah, it's pretty great. And it's like one of the only times where like my headcanon, I always have like gay headcanon, and this one I was like, gay headcanon is never gonna happen. And I mean, this is the only time that I've been like, okay, maybe something actually could happen that's gay. So
yes. Yeah, those storylines, very important. Do you watch Supergirl by chance?
I don't watch Supergirl.
I am a huge fan. Once again, it's like there are a lot of like theater people, and I love comics, so that's like the perfect combination. But they also have some really great LGBTQ storylines that are like, wow, like superhero and progressive and like all of those different things, and talking about Black Lives Matter. Like, give it to me. Let me just like sink it in, because that's that now you see my kind of my world. So I want to hear more. Let's dive deeper into like your canon. So what have you been working on?
So I have been working on a couple things, and some are kind of like standalone-y and some are kind of more larger projects. So on the like larger project side, I've been working on kind of getting a virtual portfolio together for one of my musicals, which is called Wishful Thinking. And it's basically about this person who is at rock bottom, who like picks a small town at random and moves there like right after getting divorced. And she like accidentally unleashes a djinn, an evil genie, and starts having like, she thought she was at rock bottom and everything gets way worse. And there's a lot more to it than that, but I'm going to just leave the description at that for now, except that the genie wants the protagonist to take her place and is like torturing her via wishes to try to get her to agree to trade places. So anyway, a really good friend of mine is orchestrating the songs, and we are basically making little performance videos that I'm putting on YouTube so that I can have, decent versions of all the songs, or at least a good handful of the songs to share to give a sense of the show. So that's one project. And the friend who's orchestrating, her name is Elizabeth Collard, and she is fantastic. She's an incredible composer and orchestrator, and she's lovely. And so another project that just wrapped up is I participated in an international song cycle where there were writers paired up from different countries around the world with each other who didn't know each other. And with our partners, we we wrote an 8-song song cycle on the theme of bravery. And it was all, virtual collaboration. And that was really fun. And then it was this, came together in like this virtual performance. And that was really neat because, the director was, she was really, really smart. And the way that she kind of put the videos together was, it kind of gave me some hope about what we can do with videos and like virtual collaboration. Like I really feel like obviously videos, they're not a substitution for live theater, but there are some really cool things you can do with them to bring a scene to life and to make people like interact with each other, and even to have it be like different from live theater in a fun way. She did some really fun things with it, and I really loved the way that our product came out. And it's a fun little like 35 to 40 minute song cycle, and it was really fun to work with everybody. And Rob Rakicki was one of our mentors, and it was really fun.
Wow, that's awesome. Yeah, it's fun to find new innovative ways that, because if you try to make something the same as live theater, like it's just not going to happen because there's so many different elements. But if you take a fun twist on it and you find like the magic in it, that's so fun. So I'm glad that y'all have been having that creative juice flowing.
Yeah. And then I've just been doing also some standalone videos. So like you mentioned earlier that you were watching Here in Iceland, which was the opening number of my musical, The Valley, that I wrote with Eric Fegan. And he's like an incredible composer, and I would love to do more videos from that as well to get a virtual portfolio going for that. And I did towards the beginning of like the lockdown, I did a song with Elspeth Collard again to encourage people to stay inside, which was called "Stay the Hell Inside." And so we did like a song with video to encourage people to stay home. And it's still relevant because I think people should still, when possible, stay home.
Yeah.
Maybe I should write another song called "Wear a Fucking Mask." There are some more relevant songs I could write on the theme of like, just don't be selfish or just don't be stupid.
Right.
So I've done, a couple like standalone songs like on theme. And also with Eric Fegan, who I wrote The Valley with, we're working on a standalone song that's about quarantine snacking. And that's coming soon, featuring Jason Sweet Tooth Williams.
Yay!
So yeah, there's like lots of fun stuff coming up. I try to, I'm fortunate in that I do, like, I never do anything if I can't pay my performers. And I'm fortunate in that I do have enough saved up that I can do some things. And as those opportunities come up where I'm like, can I afford it right now? Great. Let's give some people some work. Let's make some great stuff happen. Let's increase the portfolio. Like, this is how I'm trying to like spend my quarantine. And whenever I like bring in enough money that I can do another thing, I do it. And I'm like trying to just build things up.
Wow. Yeah, that's beautiful. And, it's great because it helps you with the portfolio, but also like everyone's out of work, like we were talking about. Not everyone, but there are a lot of people, and the essential workers, thank you so much. But as we were also saying, like artists are essential workers in a different medium. And so it's a wonderful paying, your artists, because that's so important, and really just like giving them work and then helping build your resume. It's like this beautiful synergy when that happens.
Yeah. Which is like absolutely like no judgment on people who are doing things without paying performers if they've agreed on that and everyone's comfortable with it. Like I know everyone's situation is different, and it's like I personally don't feel comfortable not, because I like have saved up and like can like, but I don't know. I think one thing that makes me kind of feel like uncomfortable is like there is a lot of like kind of judgment and hate all over the place, and some of it is completely fair and completely earned, and some of it is like maybe not so much. And it's like a lot of us, not all of us, but a lot of us really are doing the best we can and trying really hard to do right by everybody. And I'm like, you know, if I am doing something wrong or shitty, tell me.
Yeah.
Tell me kindly, and I will fix it right away.
Yeah.
But, you know, maybe don't assume that somebody is being a piece of shit. So, like, I don't know. I think that, you know, we can be a little bit kinder to each other in general, and look at people's actions as though maybe they're not trying to be bad.
Yeah.
So, like, yeah.
That, I feel like that's very beautifully said, and it is so tough, and I know I've experienced it myself, where sometimes we're judged, or we judge others thinking of preconceived notions of this person's thoughts or actions. And really, if you actually just took a few minutes and said, like, hey, like, this kind of made me uncomfortable, or hey, like, I don't know if this is what you meant to do, but this is how it was received. And maybe you find out, like, oh my God, I didn't have any intention of that. And yeah, it's a great point, because there's, especially now, like, I feel like people are at like kind of this edge, and they're maybe like, you are going kind of one of two ways, where you're either like being so compassionate and like really understanding, or you're at a tipping point, and like this could be the thing that sends you over the edge, and you just need someone to like reach out and be like, no, I'm here for you. Like, if you need to vent, just vent here. Don't say it on Twitter, or like,
Yeah.
you know, it's a really good point, because some people, you know, everyone's just doing the best they can do. That's all. Right? Like, nobody's perfect. Nobody's trying to be perfect or pretending to be. And all we can do is be the best versions of ourselves today, and try to be kinder to ourselves and others.
Yeah. And I'm like this. And I know that a lot of people in the theater community are like this. I maybe people who love theater are, or maybe people who are like this are drawn to theater, or maybe theater brings this out in people. I don't know. But I have very high anxiety, and I tend to overanalyze things. And I know that a lot of my friends are like that. And so
you're in my brain right now.
Yeah. So a lot of times I am like constantly wondering if something I'm saying or doing is like being read the wrong way, if I might be upsetting somebody. Like, I'm sure that after this interview, I'm going to be like, so what did I say in the interview that might have been read the wrong way? That might have been this, that might have been that, blah, 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 blah. And like, I just wish I could like open up my brain and let people see like my true intention and blah, blah, blah. But I also like have been doing a lot of like self-reflecting and like looking into things. And like, I know intention isn't everything. You know, you can have great intent and still hurt somebody. And then you still need to make up for that. So it's like, you know, if your brain's going a mile a minute and you're like, anxiety, blah, blah, blah. You know, still be conscious of how you might be affecting other people.
Yeah.
So it's like, there's a lot. I think with theater people, you got to remember, like, other people are probably anxious and overanalyzing too. And if we remember that about each other, maybe it'll help us be nicer to each other. And a lot of people have depression also, which I also do suffer from that. And like, maybe if we can be kinder to each other, because probably if someone's like judging you, maybe they're also feeling shitty. Maybe, I don't know. Can we all be nicer?
Yeah. So true. I have really bad anxiety, and I've been trying to like, you know, sometimes I get like it gets so tunnel vision, and I'm like, it makes me like mean to myself, and I'm like, all right, like, you wouldn't say this to a friend, so maybe don't say this to yourself. And it's very common in theater people for whatever reason. I remember I was talking with Alex Brightman like at the beginning of the series, and he's so lovely, and he's like, you know, he said something along the lines of like, isn't it so nice to know how not alone you are?
That's so great. I got a really good piece of advice in the form of a meme from one of my best friends from Arizona, where I used to live. She sent it to me, and it basically said, my therapist told me that anytime that you are having a really negative or anxious thought, to pretend that Donald Trump said it to you. And then you can have the appropriate reaction. So it's like, everyone hates you. Fuck you and your wall. Like, so really, I mean, it's actually really good advice, you know, if you think about it.
Wow, just flip it right on its head.
Yeah. I think it could work.
I think, yeah, I never thought of it that way, but like, just use that anger towards something that's worthy of your anger rather than yourself, which, wow, Jamie, you and your friend and your friend's therapist, they've got me thinking right now.
Yeah. But
wow.
yeah, no, like the anxiety and depression and stuff, it's real. And like in my wishful thinking musical, anxiety and depression are characters that are personified by a wish gone wrong, and they follow the protagonist around and they sing really catchy songs to her about how terrible she is, and it's fun. So like I've walked that path a lot in my life.
This sounds I'm really digging your mindset here, and I feel like I could definitely get on board with some of these songs, which is a great transition. Would you like to sing something for us?
Sure. Actually, appropriately, the song I was thinking of singing is a song about I have OCD, and it's a song about having OCD during an apocalypse. I wrote this before 2020, actually, though. So it's not about this apocalypse. It's about like a more generic apocalypse that you're supposed to try to stop, but you can't because you keep getting stuck in OCD loops. So that's what I was thinking of singing for you.
Yay. So good. And I know we tested it a little bit beforehand, but let's just hear right now and make sure the audio syncs up before you start singing.
That sounds like a great plan. So, how was that?
Sounded okay. It sounded a little muffled. I don't know if that's just how it's going to sound, which is also totally cool. Let me leaning in.
Is that all right?
Play that one more time and talk over it if you don't mind.
Okay, it's like not too bad, or it's like all right, pretty good. Maybe
pretty good. There's a little bit of a pop going on. I don't know if that's just like the way technology is, because we're in technology world.
Should I try it one more time?
Try it one more time.
I'm gonna go to like the middle of the song.
Cool.
All right, so is this a little better maybe? Or like I changed the mic setting a little bit. Is that, yeah?
Just turn the music down a little bit, but it sounds good.
Turn the music down?
Yeah. It's very music heavy. At least for me. Maybe Andy.
How's that? Is that a little better? Is that like a little bit more balanced? It'll be louder when I'm singing.
That's true. It sounds like the music's a little heavy, but slightly down. I like to show the people watching at home, like, this is real life. This is what happens with live theater.
Is this better? Like a little bit? Yes? Yeah? Okay, cool. Cool.
Take it away. Right.
Cool. And this track was orchestrated by Elspeth, who I was talking about earlier, Elspeth Collard. All right, here we go. Actually, I'm going to take a sip of water.
Good call. L'chaim.
Okay. Actually. I'm the only one who can put a stop to this apocalypse. But I'm stuck in the bathroom, 'cause I've already washed my hands. But I had to make sure they were clean. I've gotta go, but something inside me says, no. And although I've washed my hands and washed my hands and washed my hands, I'm still not done. Fuck, here I go again. I wash my hands and wash my hands, and the planet's out of luck, 'cause the world's gonna end in 2 hours if I can't stop it. 'cause only I can stop it, and I can't stop washing my goddamn hands. Come on, this is bigger than you. Come on, this is bigger than a tiny and irrational and meaningless uneasiness. A hand that isn't spotless doesn't matter. You could sneeze in less than 5 minutes from now, and then your hand would be endowed again with germs. And you let everybody die because of germs. And if you're dead, then you won't care if there are germs. The world is ending and you're worried about germs. No! Turn off the fucking sink. I'm the only one who can put a stop to this apocalypse. But I am walking slow because the line in the toe of my sock keeps slipping out of place. I drag my foot on the ground, my foot on the ground, my foot on the ground, and it isn't effective. And I'm feeling it sliding, feeling it sliding, feeling it sliding. I need to do something corrective, so I'm stopping to fix it, stopping to fix it, stopping to fix it. Every 17 feet, I need to keep going, but I'm stopping to fix it, stopping to fix it. And we're all dead meat, 'cause the world's gonna end in 1 hour if I can't stop it. 'Cause only I can stop it, and I can't stop fixing my goddamn sock. Come on, this is no time to fail. Come on, this is no time to be yourself and take 1,000 hours just to do something that should be done in minutes. And it's you who'll bring the world to devastation, and for what? An irritation in your sock? You'll make humanity extinct 'cause of your sock. And if you're dead, then you won't care about your sock. The world is ending and you're stopping for your sock. No! Move your fucking ass! And if you could pick anyone to save you in this final half hour, if you could pick anyone, you wouldn't pick someone who'll always allow her obsessive, compulsive, and fucked up and faulty and useless, irreparable mind to stop her from going, to stop her from moving, to stop her from leaving her bullshit behind. But I'm the only one who can put a stop to this apocalypse. I know. So go make peace with your God or your dad or whatever. We've got like 10 minutes to go. And I'm sorry, 'cause I couldn't stop washing my hands. And I couldn't stop fixing my sock. I could not stop the world from ending.
Yay! That was so good!
Thank you.
Gosh, that hand washing felt so personal. Like if I could only just listen to the goddamn voice outside saying, you do not need to wash your hands a 5th time. And yet my hand says, wash me, please.
Yes. It's I mean, I've had a lot of like moments lately, especially where I've been like really angry at my OCD because I'm like, I just want to go do things and I can't because I'm stuck. And I feel like people who don't have OCD like underestimate how like annoying or frustrating or like heartbreaking it can be when you're stuck in a loop, or how you can like really like how it can affect your day, how it can affect your emotions. And like, you know, I've even like hurt myself because of some of like my OCD tendencies. Like it's really rough. Like, and I think people who don't have it don't get it. It's rough.
It's the song is so well written because it gives humor to something that is so painful. And I feel like that's a good way that like art and music and theater can like help people who do suffer from mental health issues, mental health, different diagnoses or undiagnosed problems. I 100% feel that. And I was jamming along because I'm like, wow, was this written about me?
Fun fact, I wrote that song at NYU in Bill Finn's class. He likes to give really personal writing prompts because he really wants you to like dig deep. So like every song I wrote in that class was like so personal. I ended up putting together a song cycle from that class called "What's Wrong with Me," because it's like all songs that are about like really personal things, and they're all kind of like that. They're all kind of like funny, self-deprecating, but it's about something that's like really seriously wrong with me.
Yep.
So, and like, you know, he liked that, so it was fun.
Yeah, no, it's so true. Because it's, you know, just to like harp on it for a second, like I wish I didn't have to wash my hands so much, right? Like I understand, even though we're in a pandemic and you do have to wash your hands more than normal, I feel like I'm washing my hands the same amount I've always done because I wash it obsessive compulsively. And, you know, it maybe normalizes it being in a pandemic because you can just say like, oh yeah, like the post office says that anytime you get a parcel, you should like open it and then wash your hands. So like, but I was doing that beforehand. So, you know, like it's true that like sometimes self-deprecating helps you, but also it helps like if family or friends listen to it, understand that like you're not intentionally holding up the car because like you picked something up and you needed to go back and wash your hands, even though you understand that you like shouldn't have to, but it's not your choice.
Oh, I have cried and told people to leave without me, and they've been like, why? And I've been like, just go, like, because I didn't want to explain like I can't leave this bathroom, like because like I just can't, like I just like, you know, you can't explain, and people they'll be like, just leave, it's okay. You know, they don't get that you can't.
What a fun world that we live in.
Yeah, you know, it's the same thing like telling a depressed person to just don't be sad, like just like, you have a good life, like you have a roof over your head, you have friends, you know, like you don't have anything seriously wrong, like there are some things that could be better, but you know, just look at all the good things in your life and what you shouldn't be sad. But tell that to a depressed person and it's like you don't get it.
Right. Not my choice. Right. They're so Jamie, I feel like we could talk about this for hours because there are so many things, and I'll give a shout out to Dr. Drama, my friend Elisa, who does a lot of the intersectionality between mental health and theater. And, you know, we've spoken before and she talks about on her series that like it's, you know, we need to destigmatize mental health and getting therapy and being able to talk open and honestly about anxiety and depression and all of these different, you know, OCD and bipolar and so many different parts of our lives that we were told were bad and like things that you should not talk about. And that just makes it so much worse. And you realize that like so many other people suffer from the same things. And if you just spoke about it, then maybe you could help each other.
Yes. Oh my gosh. I'm like the world's biggest open book. And I have had so many people who like love me and care about me, who know I'm trying to make a name for myself in this industry, tell me that I should be more private. And I'm like, do you have any idea like how many conversations I have had where like it's all Me Too conversations, you know, like where like people are just like, I wish people talked about this more, you know, like, and so like, I'm allergic to gluten. I have PCOS. I have depression and anxiety and OCD. I will talk about these things with anyone who wants to talk about these things. I was in an emotionally abusive marriage and I'm divorced now. Like, and there are so many people who have gone through all these things. A lot of them are really common. A lot of people don't like to talk about, like with the PCOS, a lot of people don't like to talk about reproductive issues and miscarriages and stuff like that. Yeah. A lot of people don't like to talk about like emotional abuse because they think it makes you seem like there's something wrong with you. But like a lot of these things are so common, and people feel like they can't talk about it because it makes them feel so alone. And there's a lot of like societal stuff where sometimes the people telling you not to talk about it, they want it to stay quiet so that the people perpetrating the problems can continue to get away with it. So like much like with like all the institutionalized racism stuff, like how they don't want you to talk about your salary so they can keep paying people who are being paid less. You know, like talk about everything, you know, like I mean, obviously, like in some cases, maybe if you're talking about too much, there's a reason it's too much. But like, if you're a smart person, and a lot of people are smart people, you know who you shouldn't be like running your mouth to. So like, just if you're talking to another person who's like a, you know, decent person, like talk about everything.
Yeah.
You know, like it's 2020. We're isolated. Like talk to people, bond with people, help people feel less alone, and like, yeah. Why should people suffer in silence?
Thank you. Thank you so much for opening up and sharing all that.
Yeah. Anyone who wants to can talk to me anytime. I like have time, supposedly. You know, while we're all quarantining, supposedly I'll have so much time.
Right. But, I got nothing but time.
What?
Yeah, it's, you know, it's so much of that is true. And it seems to actually be a pretty common theme on this series, which I try to give it the opportunity to talk about whatever you want to talk about. And there's, you know, pretty much nothing off limits unless if it's like hurtful to other people. But I find that it's really healing to talk about these things. And even I was reading an article about Leslie Odom Jr., right? Like this man who won Tony and is like such a famous human actor who has his own solo album, Mr., and has released other albums, and you know is a very famous.
Are you talking about the Hamilton thing?
Yeah, well, yeah, about how like he spoke up about money and like that whole issue. Like to see someone like that speak up and be like, I'm just like whether you agree or don't agree is maybe a different thing. It's the fact that he felt comfortable enough to share that, you know, look, I'm originating Aaron Burr in this hit musical, making it part of why it is such a cultural phenomenon. I should get paid properly. I am a Black man. Like these are the things that he was saying. And it was so important to like see someone like him saying those things out loud.
I'm so glad that he asked for that. And then I'm so glad that he like made that public because like, first of all, Hamilton, like I read another thing about Hamilton that like, it was like, I don't remember the exact fact. I don't want to like misstate it, but it did some groundbreaking thing on Disney Plus with how popular it was. And that's the only thing I'm going to say because I don't remember the exact fact, but like suffice to say, it was a big fucking deal on Disney Plus. And also I read something else about like the more that people are willing, like big names who are willing to make the stories of when they're like speaking up and asking for what they deserve and getting it and making that public. It's giving confidence to people who are less big names to be able to like, you know what, like I do deserve better and there is precedent.
Yeah. So true, right? The more open and honest we can be about so many things and admit that sometimes we get things wrong. I get things wrong. I'm willing to, you know, if I say something on this series or on social media and you're like, hey, SHO, like, I know you meant well, but actually I thought that it sounded kind of off. Please just message me rather than like secretly being like, oh, SHO doesn't know, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, oh, I like, please educate me. I will admit to being wrong. So I you know, it's the big thing of like, you know, admitting you're wrong when you get new information is such a key fact to success and to like improving society, because there are just facts that we didn't know and we made a judgment or an assessment based off of those given facts. And then when you are granted more information, you're like, oh, my opinion has changed because of this. Yes, I used to think X, Y, and Z, but now here's actually how I like am handling the situation. So I offer that to everyone to accept that sometimes we get things wrong and just be like willing to hear other people out.
Yeah, like normalizing like getting things wrong. I mean, like you can't know everything. It's impossible to know everything. Like life is all about learning. And the other thing that like I learned, this is the hardest habit to break, because like as people, and especially as women, it is like so ingrained in us to say sorry all the time. And like, so like what's better to do is to say, like, when someone like calls you out or corrects you on something, is I've like learned is to say thank you, because if you say sorry, you're putting the onus on them to say it's okay, and sometimes it's not okay. So like I'm like trying to break that habit, but it's so hard because I say sorry all the time. But it's like if somebody like lets you know that you've done something that's not okay, you say, oh, thank you for letting me know, and then you move on. Unless an apology is owed, because sometimes an apology is owed. But like in a lot of cases, it's just like thank them for like, because they didn't have to go out of their way to like tell you. Right. But it's like there's a lot of information, and like I'm grateful that like that we are in a place where a lot of people, not just a few people who have been fighting for a really long time, but like a lot of people are finally like open to learning and like trying to make the world a better place. And it's kind of like weird and sad that it took like a like apocalypse for a lot of us to be like, oh, I'm stuck at home and I can't do anything. I guess maybe I should start caring about other people and try to make the world a better place. But you know, I also don't want to give people like no credit and be like, this wouldn't have happened unless the world ended. Like, you know, maybe it was just like a bunch of things fell into place, and this is where we're at in the universe, and we're all going to get a little bit better now, and that's good because that's what we need.
Preach. That's so good and so well needed. And you know, in case if I didn't make this clear earlier, Black lives matter, Black trans lives matter. Just like there it is, no ifs, ands, or buts. There, it's not a political statement; it's a human statement.
Yes, and I don't know why that's a debate anywhere ever. Like, it's a human thing. Like, Black lives matter, Black trans lives matter. Like, and it's I don't understand competition. Like so like as a gay woman, as a Jewish woman, I don't feel threatened by Black Lives Matter as a movement. Like, I'm like, yeah, let's like make this shit happen. And like the fact that it happened like during Pride, I was like, no, Pride can still be a thing, but like let's focus on Black Lives Matter while it's like got momentum right now. Like, and I, you know, like I don't think that it has to be like one or the other. Like, it's not like we can all be allies to each other. And when one thing has the momentum and has the forefront and it's important, like focus on it. Like it's 100%.
I think we're stronger together in, you know, as that saying goes, but it's so true that, you know, if you have been marginalized, that's even more of a reason to support other people who have been marginalized.
You know how it feels. Like, you don't know exactly how it feels to be marginalized in the way that they've been marginalized, but you know how shitty it feels to be judged for your differentness. Like, and you know that, like, especially like, so there's this article that's like a really, really super, super, super long list of all the ways that the Trump administration has attacked like the LGBTQ community. So like, it's not like there's nothing happening to like attack people who are gay. But you know, I think that if we can all come together and fight together, like that's what we need.
Yes. Come on. Come together right now. Yeah, come on. I've said this a lot, especially at the beginning of this huge movement that's hopefully just going to continue to make changes. But like, if you're Jewish and you're staying silent, you are missing what our ancestors would have wanted us to do. We have been persecuted for far too long, and an attack on other people being treated like how we were.
What?
It's ridiculous. You gotta say something. And by staying silent, you are helping the abusers.
That's what like really like boggles my mind. It's like, if you see horrible treatment of other people and you're a person where your people have been treated horribly, the right response isn't, but my people have been treated horribly. It's like, oh my God, let's make sure that, you know, other people aren't being treated horribly because I know how that feels. Like, that's not how like it works. But like, yeah. I have been really proud in general, not in total, but in general, of the theater community, because like my Facebook feed, my Instagram feed, like my gay friends, my Jewish friends, I've seen mostly. I've seen like people like speaking out, like it's all like people trying to do the right thing, people trying to educate themselves, like it's Black Lives Matter. It's like not the problematic responses for the most part.
Right. I agree. And taking part in like the Broadway for Black Lives Matter, like workshops and video seminars has been very important and telling for me, because the truth is there's so much I didn't even know I didn't know. And that's, I feel like, such a blind spot. Is like, there's one thing if you know that you don't know something, you can like educate yourself, right? But if you weren't even aware that there's a problem happening in certain spaces, so you can't fix that. And that's why, like, you should be subscribing. I'm saying to like everyone, not specifically you, Jamie, but like, you know, there are so many things with like Broadway Black and Broadway for Broadway Advocacy Coalition. Like, there's so many like long-term and new organizations that are specifically in the theater industry calling out these problems and trying to find solutions. So if that's something that you want to get involved with but just don't know about, like, feel free to message me and I will give you the resources that I've seen and I've started to like subscribe to and watch and try to, as best as possible, be educated about.
Yeah, and like I think there's different degrees of like being involved. I think some people like got overwhelmed at the beginning by how much like info and like what would have been asked if you got a little bit involved, and like were like can't handle it and went away. But like just like find the amount that you can handle and like start there. You know, I think because I think that doing nothing is definitely not the answer. And like even if the amount you can handle is just following a couple like of the like channels that you mentioned and like educating yourself a little bit when you can handle it, like even that is better than nothing. Like
just try to be a little bit better than the way you were yesterday, and we're on the right track.
Yeah, for sure. But it's also, I mean, I'm also aware it's not my place to like be telling people what to do, because I'm not, you know, an expert or like somebody who's like doing everything perfect either. So
totally. That's fair. Self-reflection is good.
Very well, I'm like a white person sitting here being like, this is what everyone should do. So
right. Yes, I know. I try to be the best ally I can be. And this is like what I was saying before, is if I'm saying something out of line, please let me know. I'm trying my best. I'm trying not to stay silent. But if I'm talking too much, please let me know. You know, it's I feel like there is that hard balance between like, I want to use my voice to elevate others, but also like, I don't want to use too much of my voice so that it's taking away from others. Where is that balance? And continuously having a diverse group of humans on the series, and diverse in so many ways, like ethnicity and like sexual identity, and like all, you know, there's so many different levels to what it means to be diverse. And one of the most important lines I heard during the Broadway Advocacy Coalition like video was, diversity doesn't equal equity and equality. And so just recognizing that like we should be diverse, but not just for diversity's sake, that there should be actual reason and accomplishment with making more voices heard. So not just like one Black actor. There should be an equal amount. There shouldn't just be like one Hispanic person on the, you know, producing team, but maybe also the director and choreographer and, you know, whatever it may be. I'm just spitballing. I'm giving some examples, but just the more diverse, the better.
Yeah.
And with that being said, yeah. Sorry, what was that?
Oh, I just said for sure.
For sure. Faux show. Is there any last thoughts? I know we've gone over an hour. Thank you so much for being so passionate and chatting. Is there anything you came into today wanting to make sure to share?
There's just like, I think there's just like one other thing, like, and I'll say it quickly, but like, so I think, I don't know, obviously, how long like Broadway's going to be shut down for. And I don't know how long people are not going to really be able to gather to do theater live. But I touched on this a little bit when I was talking about the We Song Cycle, the international collaboration. But I do think that there's a hopelessness that a lot of people are feeling. And again, as I said, I don't think that virtual collaboration is a replacement for live theater, but I do think that I would encourage anyone who is a theater artist who is feeling a little bit hopeless to consider, while you're waiting, to think about, instead of thinking about it as a replacement, think about it as an in the meantime, like doing some collaborative projects with film and seeing, like, embracing the fun of it as a way to, like, as a different medium, as a way to build up a virtual portfolio, as a way to connect with people. Because I think there's a lot that we can do, like, as a theater community, to get some really interesting stuff together. And I would also, like, put that out to, like, high schools and colleges who are maybe feeling like they had their opportunities to, like, put work together, like, stripped from them, like, don't feel like you can't do anything. Like, there's a lot that you can do maybe with some video that I think would be really cool. So, and I'm very open to talking to, like, anyone who wants to, like, discuss that. Like, I want to help people if they want to do video stuff. It's actually not that hard. So that's just what I want to put out into the world. We can do more. We can make theater stuff happen. It won't be live, but it'll be good.
Thank you for sharing that. I think that's very helpful. So where can people find you across social media and, like, YouTube, your website, everything?
Oh yeah. It looks like I can, I can't put something in the comments myself, I don't think. But so my social media, if you just go to jamiemalitzmusicals.com, it has all my social. It has a link to my email and my Instagram and Twitter and YouTube and all that. Is there a way for me to put that in the comments, or?
I think it should be in the bio, and if it's not, I can add that after.
Oh, cool. Yeah. And then but yeah, it's just, my name is just Jamie, spelled Jamie, and Maletz, Maletz, musicals.com. And then Instagram is at Jamie Maletz Musicals, and Twitter is at Jamie Maletz, and my email is jamie.maletz@gmail.com. Please feel free to reach out.
Awesome. Yes. Perfect. I like the, streamlined, different, with a little bit of variety. Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
I meant to have, like, Jamie.Maletz, or I meant to have Jamie Maletz Musicals be my, like, handle on everything. But Twitter was like, that's too long, bitch. And I was like, oh, okay, sorry.
Aggressive. Come on, yeah. Twitter.
No, Twitter's like different. And I was like, okay, that's fine. I barely use Twitter. I don't really jive with Twitter. But
Fair. Well, y'all can find me at bwaySHO, as you see across the banner here.
Oh, I love the banner. It's so cute.
Thank you. Big fan. That's a glam up I had during quarantine. Thank you to my friend Chelsea Hill, Illustrating Diva on Instagram. Does some fabulous work. And I now have a Patreon, patreon.com/bwaySHO. If you like what you're seeing and you want to join this fun community, we do weekly trivia and monthly video chats. We're actually doing a 2000s pop trivia tonight in like an hour, which I'm very excited about. So with that being said, thanks everyone who's watching at home. And Jamie, thank you so much for coming on the show. I appreciate it so much.
Thank you so much for having me. This was fun.
Yay. All right, y'all. Take care. See you at the show.